If you don't know who I am, my name is Devin Tracy. I've helped over 1,100 clients so far in my career, and right now I have multiple private communities where I help around 300 total business owners grow their businesses. And one of the ways that I do that is with morning daily team meetings where we go through these kind of conversations that are motivational, they're sales oriented, they're business oriented, they are helping start the day off right in the right trajectory. And I thought it might be helpful for the community at large if I just started sharing those with the world. So I started recording them so that I can distribute them on different platforms so other people can get access to that as well. So that's what this is, and enjoy. So I want you to imagine that you and your best friend are both looking for work. And so you're trying to find a job, and you go out to this farm that says help wanted. And this farm has absolutely massive stables. They have over 100 horses, they have a 100 stall stable, and they need someone to clean the stables. And the work's intensive, and it's so such cut and dry work that as soon as you finish the last stable, the last stall, you're gonna have to start cleaning the first stall again. So it's perpetual work that never ends. They need somebody to do it. And it's grueling, taxing, physically hard work. You're working from sun up to sundown every single day. It's exhausting and it's smelly and it's gross and it is intense. And on the flip side, they're paying really well. So they're paying, they'll let you choose how you prefer to be paid. You can either get paid $10,000 a month, or you can get paid a penny, but your pay doubles every single month. Now, you've probably heard this before. You've probably heard this analogy, and you know that, if you just double the penny, then by the 30th month, so 2.5 years in, you're gonna be making $1 million that month, right? And then $2 million the next month. So eventually it gets crazy. So you know that by the math, you should take the penny and stick it out. But here's the hard part, okay? So let's say that you took the penny and your friend took $10,000. Okay. Well, what you may or may not know is that making a penny isn't enough to live off of. So you're working sun up to sundown. So you're working like 12-hour days, and you're working, let's say, 5, 6 days a week. And it's grueling, taxing, physically intense work. And at the end of that, you get paid a penny. But the only way that you can survive long enough to make this worth it is if you get a second job. So now you're working sun up to sundown, and then you're also working nights as a security guard, so that you can make do. And you're exhausted, and it's grueling, and you're making way less than your friend who took the 10 grand. And you are doing this, and you're exhausted, and maybe you're not even physically capable of doing this long term, but you're like, I'm gonna stick this out short term. So in the first month, you took that second job and you worked 40 hours in that job per week, right? So 160 hours. And then you worked 12-hour days in your other job. So your other job, you worked 60 hours a week, right? So 60 times four, that's what is that? That's 240 plus 160. So you worked 400 hours this month, right? And at the end of the month, you made just over $2,500, just barely enough to scrape by, right? And your friend made 10 grand. Okay, so we stuck that out for a full month, and it was grueling, it was miserable, but we did it. All right, now it's time for month two. Now, month two, you have to do all the same stuff again. And you can look at it and you can say, I'm only getting paid 2 pennies this month. And you want to be able to say, my rate doubled, and that sucker is still only making 10 grand. But he's making 10 grand, and you're barely making ends meet, but you're working harder. You're working more hours. It's more grueling. You're way more tired, and your friend is making way more money. And we know how the math goes, so we want to stick it out. But life is hard, and this is grueling, and it's taxing, and you don't have any time for anything else. And if you stick it out for a third month, well, now you make 4 cents. You stick it out for a fourth month, and well, now you make 8 cents, and then 16 cents, and then 32 cents. It's 6 months in, 6 months of working on this farm, and you haven't made a collective dollar yet, but your friend has made 60 grand. 6 months of your life, you haven't made a dollar. Your friend's made 10 grand. You know, and then you stick it out seventh month, you make $1.28. Woohoo, we made a dollar, right? And you keep pushing on, and you keep forging forward. And then 2.5 years later, some point along the way, by the way, maybe after a year and a half, maybe around the 18-month mark. You quit that other job. So for a year and a half, you just didn't sleep, and it was a miserable year. But you quit that other job, you're making more money than your friend. And then you get to 2.5 years, and you've made $1 million in a month. And then on the 31st month, you made $2 million. And then on the 32nd month, you make $4 million. And on the 33rd month, you make $8 million. And then you probably retire because you're sick of working long, hard hours and you've just made $12 million and you're set for life. This is similar to what it's like to start your own business, to be an entrepreneur, and to go out on your own, especially when you're bootstrapped, starting from scratch with no funding. You're going to be working nights and weekends. You're going to be working every hour you can to build your business that's not paying you anything. And then you're going to get a day job so that you can support yourself. And because you're so focused on building your business, you're going to watch your friends get promotions and make more money than you in the short term. And you're going to have to stick it out with the belief, with the faith of where this can get to in the future. Now, the biggest difference between the story I just shared and what it's actually like running your own business is in the story I just shared, the growth was guaranteed. You were guaranteed to be a millionaire in 2.5 years. And in business, that's not guaranteed. But so often, the reason that we don't get there is because we're in too much of a hurry. When you're in too much of a hurry, uh, things take forever because we're in a rush. When you're in too much of a hurry, you make stupid decisions. And you don't stick it out and you don't focus and you don't prioritize the things that you need to prioritize for long enough to see them come to fruition, to see them bear fruit. And that is why when you are so focused on making cash this month and in the next 3 months and the next 6 months that you forget about what's possible in 3 years, that's what keeps you broke for decades. So what we need to do is we need to take it as an axiom that if I focus on the same thing, and I picked on purpose like a miserable job, right? That's not a fun job. But you focused on cleaning those stalls for 2.5 years, right? If we focus on the same thing for long enough to get good enough at it for the marketplace to reward us, we need to take it as an axiom. We need to take it as a statement of faith that focusing for long enough will pay dividends. And in the short term, our friends are going to pass us up financially in the short term. And the people who love us will tell us we're fools because they care about us and they don't want to see us suffer. But they don't understand what we understand. And that's what happens on the other side of suffering. That's growth. And if you're not in the mindset of, I'm going to go through the sludge for the years that it takes, then you're not going to win. So that's my encouragement for you today. Stick it out and force the win. That's my mantra for 2025. I'm going to force the win. And you do that by upping the reps and making it unreasonable that you couldn't win. We can force the reality that we want if we're willing to run on a long enough timeline. We're willing to think long term enough. We're willing to not rush. We can force the outcome we want in this life. That's exactly what we're going to do in 2025. We're going to force the win. That's what I got for you guys today. Here's to your success.